Hi everybody, Inessa here with you today, and I'm so excited to be back for Pinkfresh Fridays. I know it's been a hot minute since I've been on the hops, so really happy to be back. Was able to get some of that time back and focus on this. So today I'm going to be working with the Keeping It Real collection. I am still loving this. I love the colors. It's so summery and bright. I know some of the sentiments in it are, that they're keeping it real, but you can also utilize it for your happy moments as well. So I wanted to finish off using the bits and pieces that I have left, and I'm going to do a mixed media layout with it. So I have a couple papers picked out, embellishments picked out. So this is the photo, one of them that I'm working with that I really love. I just love everything about it. And then some of the embellishments that I have picked out from the embellishment pack. This is the second photo I'm going to be working with. And you'll see it all come together here very soon. So for the mixed media, I had half of this sheet left, which has this rainbow on here. And what I'm thinking about doing is using my distress inks with water to just build out the rest of the rainbow on the white cardstock here. It's a pretty thick one. I think it's the Vicky Bouton paper that she has for mixed media. So I will start working on that, and hopefully you all enjoy what I have created today. So I use these little square ink pads from Distress Ink, and then I used a scrap piece of acetate to stamp right on it. Some water, mix it up, and you are ready. You want to make sure you have enough that it's nice and liquid that you can really use it as watercolors versus getting a thick layer of color on the page. And then I just swiped the brush on the paper. So I realized afterwards that this was not Foundations paper from Vicky. This was just white cardstock, I think, from American Crafts. I think the Foundations may work just a little bit better, but this one did the job just fine. And then the other thing that I would recommend as you do this is add some just water before you put on the color. I think I started doing that, as you see, probably on my third color, and it worked a little bit better. I thought a lot easier to put it on and make sure the color looked as good as I wanted it to be. So the next couple of seconds here is really just putting on the rest of the colors. I didn't do a whole lot of blending because I knew I was going to cover up a good portion of it, so I wasn't too worried about how the colors were blended. For me, it was really just getting that subtle color onto the white cardstock so that I had some of that continuation. So once everything was dry, I really wanted to add a little bit more. I thought it looked just a tad too bland. So I pulled out a bunch of my stencils, the daubers, and used the same ink colors to add a second layer over the stripes. So I did color and color. I think it gives it that little bit of extra dimension and interest, and I thought it turned out really well in the finished project. I certainly didn't have this as part of my initial plan, but that's part of creating, right? When you see the result or the work in progress, and sometimes you got to make that pivot. So here's my pivot. So with that layer dry, I am ready to create the layout. So I did some paper tearing here. I thought it looked a little bit nicer versus just that straight edge, which again wasn't part of my initial idea, but I think it turned out for the better here. So really the rest of this is placement. So again, I did an idea of the placement off camera ahead of time, and that's how I ended up pulling out all the little embellishment pieces from the pack. And then when it came time to build it, usually I will reference that photo. So I have an iPad and I use that when I am really building the layout to reference for the placement. I will tell you, it doesn't always end up in the same place, like that cloud and rainbow. Actually, I removed that because I end up not liking it anymore there. And some of the clusters are a little bit different. I added a title and elements from what I had originally laid out, and that's just fine, right? You see what works, what doesn't, before you put on the rest of the pieces and glue it on. So I will go quiet for now and let you watch the rest of this. So this whole time I had been building the page. It's 12 by 12. I just did the cardstock, and then I remembered I actually wanted to layer this on top of another piece of Pinkfresh. So I cut off the edges. I think I did about 1/2 inch from each side, or yeah, so 1/2 inch in total. The one thing that you see me do here is change the placement of the photo, because then I don't have enough space at the top for the tag. And once I layered the page on this pink star paper, I realized, darn it, I should have kept it as a 12 by 12 and not done anything for the frame. But oh well, too late, right? So this is one of those moments where you're like, man, I should have kept it as it was, but I didn't. I I made the cut, and I just went with the flow. So if you've been following me for even a bit of time, you know I love layers. I love my pop dots and all the adhesives. I love having a variety because it gives the page dimension. I like the different heights and thicknesses. So you'll usually see me layer flat on the page versus popped up, just to give it that dimension. Sometimes I'll curl the ends, and I think it just gives it that oomph that I think, you know, typically I don't see with pages that are more on the flat side. I used to be really scared about the dimension because it would take so much space in my scrapbook album, and I have a ton of albums, and you know I'm at a point where I'm probably running out of space, but nevertheless I just love how it looks. So I've kind of let that go, and I don't worry about how thick it is anymore. What I focus on is the aesthetic, and you know, does it tell the story? Is it something that I love looking at? So that's been a bit of a learning for me. You know, for a long time I kind of did things fast and quick because I didn't have time. I had little kiddos that I was raising and just wanted to document things because I don't want to forget all the moments that we had with our kids. And then I think, you know, a couple years ago, just around the time of the pandemic, I found this wonderful community on Instagram, and actually Heidi Swap and her memory planner, and I'm like, oh, that's perfect, right? Actually, will write down my memories and do the little photos so that I have that in sequence. It's calendared. You know, I have all those moments documented and remembered. And then my 12 by 12s are, you know, there's more of that art in it. There's still documentation, of course, but it gave me that freedom to not worry about scrapbooking every picture in an order and having to, you know, tell the story on this size of a layout when you have 20, 50 pictures. So give yourself that freedom. So thanks for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed the process here. Comment, let me know what more you'd like to see. I am really open to your feedback because I'd like to make sure that the content I create and bring to you here are things that you are interested in. So thank you again so much, and see you next time.